Hey, do you teach yoga? Have you ever trained to lead yoga classes, to be a yoga therapist? Have you ever owned a yoga studio? Maybe even just wondered what it was like for the women and men up there in front of the room on their mats, leading you through endless Surya Namaskars, down dogs, and pranayamas galore? Well, these are their stories, and mine. I'm Rebecca Sebastian, a 20-year yoga teacher, 10-year yoga therapist, yoga studio owner, and co-founder of a yoga-focused nonprofit. I've done a lot in the yoga world over the last 20 years. Pretty much everything except had a water cooler. You know, a place to share stories, talk about struggles, successes, and find other people who do the same thing that I do. Welcome to Working in Yoga, a podcast and substitute water cooler for yoga folks to connect and build community, to share our unique profession, our challenges, and our journeys with the world.
Hey friends, welcome to Working in Yoga. This is a Monday short episode, and it's the first one of a new series. And I want to tell you a little bit about this series before we get into it, because it's a little bit different from the other bonus short series that I've done before. So the first short series was the stuff that nobody told you, and it was about the things that nobody said out loud. The math that nobody does was about the numbers. And this one I have kind of called Have We Fallen Through the Looking Glass? And it's about something that's harder to pin down. It's about a feeling that a lot of y'all have been describing to me, and I felt myself in different words for a while now. The feeling that something has shifted, that the ground has moved or the rules have changed, or you turned around and the room you're standing in doesn't quite look like the room you remember walking into, and nobody sent out a memo about it. So here's the premise of the series, and I'm just going to say it plainly right off the top. I don't think the yoga industry is approaching some kind of turning point. I think that turning point already happened. And I think a lot of what I'm going to talk about over the next several weeks on this Monday series has already happened. It hasn't been said out loud in order in one place. We don't have language for it often. And there's nowhere that you can actually look for the whole shape of what's happened for us. I think part of why this is so hard to see is that change like this doesn't usually arrive as one big event, like, a comet hitting the ground. It's not like the industry held a meeting and announced things are different now. It's more like you keep doing the things that you used to do that worked, and then they kept mostly working until one day they just didn't. And by the time you notice, you can't point to the exact moment when it stopped working. You just know that somewhere between then and now, the math changed. Expectations changed. What used to be a reasonable plan for your professional life stopped being a reasonable plan, and nobody updated you. And I think a lot of us have been quietly adjusting around the edges. You know what I mean? Taking on a few more private clients, or picking up a subbing shift here, or trimming an expense over there, without stepping back and asking whether the adjustments that we're making are patching a temporary dip, or whether they're the new permanent shape of things for the industry. That question right there is what this whole series is about. I want to be super, super straightforward and clear about something. This is not a doom episode. This is not a doom series. I'm not here to tell you that it's hopeless, because I don't believe that. And also, if I did believe that, I wouldn't be making a podcast about it. I would just go do something else with my Mondays. This is an orientation or a wayfaring series. Before we can talk about what to do, we have to agree on where we actually are. Not where we hoped we'd be, not where the narrative says we are, but where we are. So here's the shape of what's ahead in this series. We're going to look at the data and why the data about yoga specifically is so hard to find, and who benefits from that. We're going to look at what happens when the tools this profession developed get picked up and used by other fields, with or without us. We're going to look at what happened when the industry went online in 2020 and then mostly didn't stay, and what's sitting in that gap right now. We're going to look at what's happened to the soloist career model, the nation build a following, write a book model that a whole generation of us were taught was the way, and what's actually replacing it for the people who are doing okay. We're going to look at a trend that's real and growing, work with people in midlife and menopause, and ask an honest question about who that work is actually for and what separates a genuine calling from a well-timed pivot. And we're going to end with organizations, the ones that were supposed to build the infrastructure for this profession, where they've been, and increasingly where they're headed, which in a word is away. A few of these topics are going to take 2 episodes instead of 1. There's just more there than fits in 10 minutes, which is the standard here for these Monday episodes. The organizations one especially, there's so much there, and it deserves to be said carefully and completely. And when we get to that one, it's going to feel different than this episode or any of the other episodes, really. It's going to be definitely more direct and less gentle. And I'm telling you that now because I don't want you to feel like there's a tonal shift that you weren't expecting. It's just on purpose. We're going to start by describing what happened, and we're going to end by being honest about who let it happen. So that's weeks away. Today is just this, the acknowledgement of what's to come, the acknowledgement that something has happened to this industry, and it's already happened. And the fact that it's already happened isn't actually bad news necessarily, because it means that we're not waiting for a verdict anymore. We're not waiting to see what's going to shake out. We're not standing around wondering if there's another shoe to drop. It dropped, my friends, and we can stop listening for it and start figuring out what to do now that the shoe is on the floor. I know that might sound like a strange thing to find comforting. As I was writing this, I was thinking that very thing. But think about how much energy goes into that waiting part. The part where you suspect that something is off, but you're not sure, so you keep operating as though everything's fine, just in case you were wrong, just in case it's just you or that it's just temporary. I think that waiting is exhausting. And it's also where a lot of us have been living our professional lives for a while now. This series is an invitation to stop waiting. Not because everything's solved, because it definitely is not, but because we can finally start working with the actual shape of the problem instead of bracing for something that we haven't confirmed yet. And I'm going to tell you where I am in all of this because it's only fair. I'm not coming to you as someone standing calmly off to the side with a clipboard. If anything, I'm the one running through, late, checking the time, a little out of breath, saying, I think we need to go, friends. I think we needed to go a little while ago. And that's this episode's title, The White Rabbit. Not because I have answers and not because I'm in charge of anything, but because I've been paying close attention for a while and I'm telling you, I think we're already late. And I'd rather say that now, while it might still matter, than stay quiet and be right later on when it doesn't. So each of these episodes is going to have a one thing that you can do. And here's what I want you to do this week. I'm going to give you one small thing and then a suggestion of where you can go to read more about the writing that the series is based on. So here's the small thing. I want you to notice, and I truly mean just notice, one place in your own teaching life or your own yoga professional life where you've been operating like it's still an earlier year. Like you're still playing by the rules of 2015. Just notice it. Nothing more than that. Maybe it's a pricing structure that you set years ago and then just didn't revisit. You know, I feel like so many of us have had that, myself included. Maybe it's an assumption about where your students are coming from or how they're finding you that might have been true in 2021 but isn't true today. Maybe it's a goal that you set for yourself that made sense in a different kind of market. Maybe it's something that you keep telling new teachers out of habit that you yourself stopped believing a while ago. That's a big one, especially for those of us who are senior teachers or who are training. Just notice if there's something you're telling new teachers that maybe you don't believe anymore. And just find the thing and hold on to it loosely. Don't rush to fix it. That's not where we're at. We're going to come back to a lot of these one things over the next coming week. And some of those threads will connect to each other in ways that aren't quite obvious yet. For now, though, it starts with just seeing it. Write it down somewhere if that helps. We'll be picking these threads back up over time. So the second thing is, if you haven't read TikTok, which is the trend report that I wrote through my magazine, Inside Yoga Magazine, you can go find that at thesunlightexperience.com/tick-talk, not like the app, full words. And you can read the 30-page report if you want to. That is what these next Monday episodes are based on. All right, friends, that's the frame. Next Monday, we're going to start with the data, something I'm wildly obsessed with. And I think some of you are going to be pretty surprised about what's actually in the data, and even more surprised by what's not. Now, let's go get to work, and I'll catch you around the water cooler next time.